what this segment is for, but I'm sure that, some of these might have been full-blown segments, including this story right here. This is from John Canzano. He was previously with the Oregonian, I believe, for a long time. Covers a lot of Oregon in the Pac-12. But I know recently he split off, and like a lot of people out there kind of doing his own thing nowadays, right? Like we did, like a lot of other people have done. Well, he posted a link to an article just a little while ago talking about NIL and talking about NIL on the Pac-12, and very interesting article. It's Bald-Faced Truth by John Canzano. It's from 5 hours ago. And it's discussing Cam Ward. Do y'all remember Cam Ward?
Yes.
The quarterback from Incarnate Word that all of a sudden became a big to-do in the transfer portal. And, he's a guy that, a lot of people have high hopes in, and he ends up at Washington State. But what's interesting about this article was he started it off by talking about the five-star offensive lineman, Josh Connerly Jr. He committed to the Oregon Ducks, and he chose them over Michigan and Miami and Washington and USC and all those schools. And there was a big to-do about it because of what? Because of NIL, and like how did NIL play into this, and Oregon's whole collective, it's called Division Street Collective, how that played into it. So he dives into like the Pac-12 and kind of what the going rate is or whatever, and he asks the question: 6 figures for Connerly Jr., 7, just question mark, right? And then he goes on to say, and what else is happening on the endorsement front of the Pac-12? So here's where we get to Cam Ward. John Canzano says he reached out to a member of Washington State's Cougar Collective on Thursday who confirmed the entity put together a lucrative package for transfer quarterback Cameron Ward. Ward was in the transfer portal in January, transferred from Incarnate Word to Washington State. And he's, as Canzano puts it, he's going to be a part of the Air Raid 2.0 with Eric Morris, who was at Incarnate Word, was at Texas Tech for a long time. Ward's total haul, he says, $90,000 for the Incarnate Word quarterback from the Washington State Collective. His deal includes a contract with a housing firm for the school year that provides an apartment in Pullman. He also gets the use of a new pickup truck for the year from a booster-owned car dealership. He'll also collect $50,000 in cash in exchange for promotional appearances that he'll make in the next year. And as one member of the collective told him, for smaller schools to compete, it's going to be very important. Our donor base is strong, but nowhere near some of the big hitters. So that's what we know he got. So you can only imagine what other things are going on right now, because that's a pretty good little haul right there.
I mean, look, just compare that to Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
And then
that's nothing. Dropping the bucket.
We always say Ewers, but Bryce Young isn't
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, so all those guys that are that. But what, and if everybody says that, NIL is supposed to do this and this, what NIL has turned into is what SMU got the death penalty for is now completely legal.
That's what Nick Saban said yesterday.
Or what everybody was doing already. I know the rumors when I was in school about different guys that were driving Escalades, and they had a lease, so it was legal. But the lease, look, if I own the car and I own the car dealership, I can lease Craig and Smokey a car for $9 a month. I can make your jersey number your payment. Hey, $9. $12. That's
Florida State.
That's your
doing things like
yeah. Everybody,
Free Shoes University.
Yeah. Like isn't stopping the shoes. You mean
the guy I'm talking to? Football's been cheating.
Yeah. So that's just all now. They can do it, and
I know we hear about SMU and it was something they did, but back then it was not legal.
Yeah, look, SMU was the one that got caught because they were sloppy.
Yeah,
they got sloppy about it, and then they ran into a collective of journalists who were all working on this. One of them who was the bulldog of all bulldogs, and Dale Hansen when he gets his teeth around something, and that's what came undone. But everybody was doing it. Can you imagine Miami and Nevin Shapiro? Now Nevin Shapiro was running a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme anyway, was going to prison. But if they had a booster in Miami back then, and the 0-1 team that it was kind of bought and paid for back then, if that could have continued going for the last 20 years, would they have had these problems? Probably not.
Yeah, so just interesting to have like kind of the details there. So hat tip to John Canzano for that article. But yeah, total of $90,000 for Cam Ward from Incarnate Word. Again, $50,000 cash for promotional appearances over the next year. New pickup from a booster car dealership. Big Red Motors, Adrian Peterson and Rhett Bomar wouldn't even have to have pretended to have a job. They just get free cars.
Yeah. And they can go out and benefit. Like, here's the good news about that, is they can actually go out and benefit Big Red Motors, because Big Red Motors now was paying for these guys to be on the Oklahoma team, but really getting nothing out of it because they can't say they did it.
Their ego was scratched.
Yeah, so, but now they can actually say, like, hey.
You really think about it, an apartment and a car is about what everyone should get. You know, if you have transportation and a place to stay. The cash part, oh well. I mean,